What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Beyond the Sideline podcast, a podcast where we talk about the latest sports stories and give our opinions as fans watching our teams play from Beyond the Sideline. You are listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. YouTube as the video format, Spotify and Apple for audio only listeners. You can catch us Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'd like to give an apology for last week's episode. I forgot to upload it on Friday. Came out Saturday at 3. I know, blasphemy. That kind of rhymed. On to our first topic of the day, NBA Round 1 recap. Let's start with the Lakers. They lost to the Timberwolves in 5 games. A lot of things went wrong for the Lakers. Jake, what do you think went wrong?
Yeah, you mentioned, a lot of things went wrong. I think they realized kind of that they did not have the depth to perform in the NBA playoffs. It just was not a team built for this. That starts with size. They were totally outmatched. They let, Julius Randle kind of did his thing, used his size against the smaller Lakers team. Obviously, Rudy Gobert really figured things out in that game 5, 27 and 24. I think if he had figured things out before that game 5, it could have been an even quicker series for the Lakers. But the lack of height and the lack of depth really cost them. And, JJ Redick didn't trust more than 5 guys towards the end of this series, really for the entirety of the series. And that's just not a formula that is going to be a winning one in any NBA playoff series, regardless of how tall your team is. You just can't have 5 guys out there the entire time. And then I will have to give some credit to the Timberwolves because they played really well. Anthony Edwards looked like the best player on the court. He's been unreal. This is 2 playoff years in a row now that he's just looked electric. Obviously mentioned Julius Randle. He kind of trying to rewrite some of those postseason narratives about himself, and then Gobert, after an awful first 3 or 4 games, really put it together in that game 5. So got to give them credit, but just, yeah, a lot of things went wrong for the Lakers.
Yeah, and you mentioned size. JJ Redick not going with Jackson Hayes at all during that game
Yeah.
5. He said he was going to try some things different, but for Jackson to stay ready, played Maxi Kleba, I think a total of maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes, with the majority of that coming in the first quarter. Um, yeah, I mean, not having size is really going to hurt. I don't mind the small lineups if it's against a team like the Nuggets. Roy Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt have done great against Nikola Jokic because Jokic is more of a perimeter and kind of post guy, not so much a stay in the paint sort of center. We know he's a playmaker. The dude averaged a triple double this season as a center, which is insane. If you told this to someone watching the NBA 10 plus years ago, they would have their mind blown. But
Yeah.
yes, size was definitely an issue, and I think the Luca trade definitely kind of messed with everyone on that team. Having such a big trade, Anthony Davis for Luca right before the All Star break is gonna gonna hurt the team's chemistry a little bit. They're gonna have some questions. I think the Dalton Connect and Mark Williams trade also had an effect with that one getting
Yeah.
rescinded. That one definitely shook things up, especially for Dalton Connect. And speaking of Dalton Connect, JJ Redick barely gave him any minutes, which fans hate him for.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, as a guy who's watched a lot of the Lakers, who's watched a lot of Dalton Connect, like he got DNP'd most of this series. Like, do you think if he wasn't in that trade, if he wasn't technically he was going to Charlotte, and then it was just like, you think that had a serious impact? If that doesn't happen, is he a real player for this team down the stretch in the playoffs, or was it kind of always going to happen? And he's a rookie and he's not going to get a lot of play in the playoffs.
I don't know because JJ weeks before the trade happened was starting to play Dalton a little more, but Dalton was sort of on a fall off. Wasn't as good as the first couple months of the season, but I feel like I think it's just JJ's way of coaching. I think it was gonna happen because Dalton was having a bit of a fall off. But do you contribute that fall off to the trade? So if the trade doesn't happen, maybe he does good. Maybe JJ stay. Maybe JJ keeps him in the lineup. We'll never know. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. I don't like JJ not playing Dalton because I mean after Jared McCain got hurt early in the season. Jared McCain was the rookie for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm sure everyone knows that listening. But he was, without a doubt, the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Dalton Connect was like fifth. But with Jared McCain out, Dalton Connect started to do pretty good, and he was slowly becoming the favorite. Dalton Connect was the SEC Player of the Year when he got drafted at Tennessee, and he got little to no minutes in the final half of the season. So that's just yeah, it really grinds my gears. But I mean, he is a rookie. It's a new coach. I get why, but still, I mean, you have the current SEC Player of the Year on your team. Got to give him some minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like, you know, there's a lot of what ifs for the Lakers,
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
but I think all said and done, when once that Luka trade happens, and there's everybody's immediate reaction anyway. It's like, all right, this isn't going to be the year when we win a championship. This is a year where like we'll take the second half and the playoffs and learn how to play with Luka on our team for LeBron, for some of these other guys, and then going into next year, we'll retool, we'll get some bigs, and then we'll really figure it out. But I think once the Mark Williams trade almost people thought it was happening. Then it kind of switched to all right, this team could be legit this year, and they started playing well, but the trade gets rescinded. They don't have the height, and I mean, like that's a guy. I mean, AD would have been the perfect guy to have on this team this series for rim protection. He had no rim protection and no center presence kind of down low. But there's nothing you can do about that. Obviously, you still make the Luka trade 100 times out of 100. But I think I think there's definitely still some things to look forward to for the Lakers as you head into this offseason. I think now you have played with Luka a little bit. I'm sure he has heard all of this stuff about him. He's going to go crazy this offseason, and he's going to kind of want to prove it to people. Now he does have some things to prove. This is kind of probably his worst playoff series. I think normally he's been a real playoff riser. He didn't quite do that this series, so I think he does have a lot to prove, and I think the Lakers will absolutely go out and make some trades and get some people and get some bigs and be a different looking team come next year.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of moves in the offseason. Bigs are definitely one to look at. Rob Pelinka even said that size is going to be the biggest thing that they're going to look at in terms of free agency. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. LeBron, his, I guess, career is still up in the air, but I feel like it's almost certain he's going to come back at least
Yeah,
one more year. $50 million player option is kind of hard to pass up. Whether he stays for a year after that, that one is really a flip of the coin. I'm leaning towards highly unlikely. But if he does stay if he does stay a year, 2 more years, he will get to be on the same court as his youngest son, Bryce, who is committed to play ball at the University of Arizona. Go Wildcats. So, moving on from the Lakers series, let's talk a little bit about the Warriors. Warriors took the Houston Rockets to Game 7, dominated in Game 7, but that came after being up 3-1 in the series. Houston started to come back, forcing Game 7. Warriors still were able to clean everything up and close out that series in Houston. What are your thoughts on that series?
yeah. I mean, really exciting. I thought it was over, fully over, once the Warriors went up 3-1. Especially that Game 6. That's at Golden State. I was pretty surprised the Rockets were able to win that one, but made for a great series. And then Game 7, the Warriors kind of everything clicked. You know, the games that, gosh, I think as I was watching Game 7, they put up some stat in the 3 games that the Warriors won. The first 3 games the Warriors won of the series, the total score was just about 600 points. So, pretty low scoring affairs. In the 3 games that the Rockets won, the total score totaled something around 700 plus. So it really was a series where the Warriors, they're a defensive first team, especially since they got Jimmy Butler. And they kind of needed to have one of those nights, and they did in game seven. I mean, played great. Draymond Green just put Şengün in that, oh my gosh, in hell. Who
Yeah.
could do nothing, he could do absolutely nothing for most of this game. And, there's just a lot of really great defenders on this Warrior team. And then you add to that some of the others, like a Buddy Hield obviously steps up, has an incredible game, 9 of 11 from beyond the arc. It's not like he's going to do that every night, but he just needs to do, he needs to show that he can make a couple threes. I think he went really cold in games 5 and 6, and that was a big reason why the Rockets were able to come back. They were able to play more of a zone, a too big zone, and the Warriors just couldn't really. Their shooters weren't able to shoot. They had bad nights in 5 and 6, so they couldn't fight back against that zone. But game seven, Hield goes off. You do fight against that zone, makes things look a lot easier for you. So I think that's a key for their next series for the Warriors. Just can you get some of those others, Pajemski or Hield? Can they hit a few threes throughout the game? Makes things easier for Steph as well, who's really dishing it out in that game seven before kind of going off, getting a few buckets of his own in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, this is an exciting thing to watch. It really is.
Yeah, and I mean it makes the Jimmy Butler trade that much better for them. He's been an instant impact. He claimed himself as the Robin of this team, Batman being Stephen Curry, but now with Buddy Hield doing so good, I saw it after during the Game 7 post-game presser. Buddy Hield switched with Jimmy Butler to take the stand, and as Buddy Hield is leaving, he told Jimmy Butler to, hey, tell all these people that you ain't Robin anymore. So Buddy Hield wants that spot. I saw a graphic where they had Buddy Hield as Alfred. um, so
That I love.
that's fun. It's nice to see Buddy Hield finally come into his own. Very late into the season, but better late than never. But going to another series in the West, Nuggets take Game 7 in Denver against the LA Clippers, in which the Clippers did not look like the team they were in the final 6 games and the last month and a half of the season. The hottest team in the league, without a doubt, folded in Game 7 to Denver. Denver now moving on to play the Thunder in the second round, which we will talk about just after this. But Jake, what are your thoughts on the Clippers' downfall in Game 7?
Yeah, well, I've got to give myself a pat on the back. I'm going to do it again. I got to give myself a pat on the back because I did say last podcast that Clippers are going to win Game 6, Nuggets were going to win Game 7 and take the series. But I think if you're a Clippers fan, you got to be really worried about the future of this team because this is kind of exactly how you wanted things to go. You got a healthy Kawhi for the playoffs, which you've been asking for so long. James Harden was doing James Harden things for most of the time until this Game 7, and he just looked terrible in it. But you had all of it going right, and it still resulted in a first-round exit. I would not feel good as a Clippers fan. I don't know where they go from here. Because I feel like they're just going to try and run it back and see what happens. But this is, I feel like, the best that things can go for them, and it's a first-round exit. So definitely worried about that. But, I mean, from the Nuggets' perspective, this Game 7 is kind of everything that they can be. All 5 of their starters, Gordon, Porter Jr., Jokic, Murray, Brown, they all had double-digit points. They all had 15 or more points. And then Westbrook off the bench has 16 and looks really solid. Is that spark plug? That's what they can do at their best, where Jokic is right in the middle of everything, dishing it out, getting, a bunch of assists and making things happen, and everybody's scoring. And it's really hard to defend. If you're a Clippers team, it's really hard to defend that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the thing with the Clippers, it always seems like they have the chances to do good, especially when Kawhi is healthy, but they just, I don't know, it's like their franchise is cursed. They always
A
seem to
little,
lose in
yeah.
the first or the second round. Have only made it to the Western Conference Finals once in their franchise's history, and that was just a few years ago, I believe. Um, yeah, their franchise is kind of cursed. But I mean, go sticking with the Nuggets. Let's move on to round two. Nuggets take a very exciting game one against the Thunder. For those who didn't watch the game, give a little TLDR. The uh, the Thunder were up one with like just about 15 seconds to go. Shea takes a wide open lane to go up three. Now with 11 seconds left, the Thunder, as soon as the Nuggets inbound, decide to foul to send the Nuggets to the line. Nuggets make both, and then their Thunder now only up one. The Nuggets do the same. The Thunder miss their free throws, and then who else but Aaron Gordon yet again with the game-winning shot to give the Nuggets the win to go up 1-0 in the series, taking their first game in Oklahoma, which is a big win for them.
Yeah, I mean, stealing home court advantage from what was an unbelievable team this regular season. That really, it feels like, even though the Celtics might be the favorite to win it all, feels like OKC comes in as the team to beat, especially, at the very least in the West, with the regular season they've had. But yeah, I mean, how about Aaron Gordon doing it twice already this postseason? That's crazy. You said I saw some quote of his last year that went viral about it. He's like, I'm doing everything in my power to get Russ a ring, and he's really doing everything in his power this season. But I mean, another just awesome game. I mean, Jokic goes off for 42 and 22, 42, 22 and 6. It's absolutely ridiculous. What he's been able to do since the Nuggets fired their coach, he's effectively stepped up and been, I mean, every time the broadcast goes to a huddle, Jokic is the one with the clipboard in his hand, yelling at his teammates, calling out plays. And, clearly this is a flawed Nuggets team. Obviously, they had to fire their coach in the middle of the season, towards the end of it. Like, you don't do that if you're a perfect team. But Jokic has just like put them on his back in every way possible. He's just the best player in the world. And I think the end of this game was really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I hate fouling a three just from a fan perspective. I think it's a terrible watch, and I think I think the NBA needs to implement some sort of rule that I don't know, fouling late. I hate it. It slows down the game so much, but that's a topic for another time. I do think that strategically it makes sense. It's not illegal to do it yet. So strategically it made sense for the Thunder to do it. I will say I think they did it too quick. It was as soon as the Nuggets inbounded the ball, they were hacking. I think it happened 2 times in a row that they fouled up 3. You couldn't. I feel like they could have waited a few seconds, which were precious seconds, come the end of the game. I mean, Aaron Gordon made it with not a whole lot of time left. So I think that's the one thing I would have done differently if I'm the Thunder coach. But then it just comes down to execution, missing your shots. And of course, Gordon does his thing. Credit to Russell Westbrook, who he had a lane a little bit, but it was defended. He was able to kick it out to an open Gordon. I know Russell Westbrook does not. I know the devil on his shoulder was saying, drive to the basket and miss a layup. But he put that extra pass up. And now, I mean, boy, what does that do to the Nuggets' chances of winning this series? I feel like not a lot of people, including myself, really giving them a chance coming in. But you take home court advantage away, it's a totally new series.
Yeah, it definitely gives them life. I mean, they are now all the confidence in the world, and credit to interim head coach David Adelman, who's been, he's been thrown into a very tough situation, having to come in with just a couple games left in the regular season after the firing of head coach Mike Malone and the firing of the Nuggets GM as well. I mean, the Nuggets have been pretty good. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people thought they could have lost in the first round to the Clippers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it looked like they were. I mean, they weren't. They were. Don't get me wrong. The Nuggets are still a great team, but they weren't as polished as they have been in years past. So I didn't think that they had the chance to get to the second round. If they did, I think the Thunder can beat them. But I mean, you take game one, I albeit with like some breakdown of scheming for the Thunder. I mean, this team, the Thunder are beatable. You can
Oh
beat the
yeah,
Thunder. Um, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say the Nuggets can take this to a game seven, maybe even win it in six. I feel like the Thunder come back and win game two. I think they're ready, but I think the Nuggets can easily take both games at their home court. Nuggets could very well
yeah,
go up 3-1.
yeah. I mean, and that's all they have to do now is just win those 3 games at home, and you got yourself the series. Now they still home field advantage, so that's all. That's all it takes.
Yeah. And let's move to the Eastern Conference now. Let's talk about how I don't I mean looking at it on paper, it's not it's very surprising, but when you dive deep into it, it's not that surprising knowing that they won the season series 3-1. This team that I'm talking about are the Indiana Pacers taking a commanding 2-0 lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers, without a doubt the second best team in the league in terms of record, one of the top three favorites to win it all. I mean, the Pacers have been just making quick work of this Cavs team. Now, I will say, game two, Cavs were without Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and DeAndre Hunter, but still, when they were all playing in game one, Pacers still outworked them.
Yeah, I mean, give the Pacers a whole lot of credit. And I mean, what a game that game two was. It's such an improbable comeback. I gotta just read off this stat. Since in the last 30 years, teams trailing by 7 or more points in the last minute of the game are 3 and 1,640. And now 2 of those 3 wins are the Pacers this postseason. 2 out of their last
That's a
3 wins
that's such a
have been.
crazy
I mean,
stat.
it's insane what they've been able to do. They shouldn't be here right now. They
They
should have
shouldn't.
lost that game in round one and lost to the Bucks. I think they shouldn't be up 2-0. They definitely shouldn't. So it's give them a lot of credit. And I like what you said, Angel. I understand that. Right, the Cavs were missing a lot of guys, but if you're the Pacers, you got to take advantage of
Oh
that,
yeah, and they
right?
did.
And now, even if the Cavs come back fully healthy, down 2-0 with 3 games to play in Indiana, in Indiana, it's not going to be easy to do that, even if all their guys are firing. And I mean, Donovan Mitchell did just about everything he could, 48 points, with a lot of those other guys missing, but it was not enough. So I mean, boy, give the Pacers a lot of credit. They have another series, which is just like totally improbable. I don't think anyone was picking the Pacers coming into it.
I
And
wasn't.
yet here they are. Yeah, I wasn't. No, yeah. What, 64 win Cavs team? They were 37. They were 34-7 at home this year. And yet they dropped 2 games in a row at home now in the playoffs in the biggest stage. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And I have to give Halliburton so much credit. He was voted, most overrated player in the league by the players, and he has not looked at all like that the last this really entire playoffs run. I mean, he just took over that game last night. He was incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, being down 2-0 going back to Indiana, you still
Yeah.
have a game 6 in Indiana if you can force it. But yeah, the Pacers have all the confidence in the world and
Mhm.
it's full steam ahead for them. They want to get this upset, but that means they're going to have to play either the Knicks or the Celtics. Now, if it's the Knicks, that would be a very interesting series and a more evenly matched matchup. But if the Celtics end up winning that series against the Knicks, I don't know. I think it's going to be a cakewalk to the finals for the Celtics, but that's still all up in the air. I say we move on now to a different sport. Let's go to the diamond. We're talking college baseball, and obviously, who else are we going to talk about but the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos? Now, Gauchos have been on a downtrend recently. We talked about it last week in our last week's episode 10. If you haven't listened to that, go listen. Um, but they went 2 for 2, 2-2 in their San Diego run. Lost the series 1-2 against UC San Diego, beat the University of San Diego, and then they lost the series to Cal State Fullerton, winning the last game of the series. So they lost that 1-2. So two very crucial conference matchups, and they lose both. They lose both series, and now they're down to fifth in the Big West. And for those who don't know, the Big West Conference tournament is a new thing. There was kind of there was like a little traces of it in the 90s, but nothing to what it is now. This is the first year that they're having a conference tournament, and in order to be eligible, you must be fifth in the conference. Right now, the Gauchos are on the cusp of just sneaking in, but I mean, Jake, with the season coming to an end in the next 2 weeks, their last conference matchup is against an inferior Cal State Bakersfield team. I mean, what do the Gauchos have to do to just perform, not only perform better, but hopefully sneak into the field of 64 on the road to Omaha?
Yeah, just really upsetting after that Cal Poly win, that Cal Poly series win. They were in the last four in projected as an at-large team for the tournament and feeling really good and up to third, I think, in the Big West, or
Yeah,
they were really competing for that third seed with Cal State Fullerton, and just like that, I mean, losing 2 out of 3 to Cal State Fullerton stinks because I think this Gaucho team is better than Fullerton just in terms of raw talent. And they were ahead of you, but they were ahead of you in the Big West standings. The one that really hurts is the UC San Diego
yeah,
series loss. That's a team that is far below you in the standings. And again, after that Cal Poly series, they were up to I think 63 in RPI. Then they lose to UC San Diego and Cal State Fullerton. They just plummeted down to the 80s. Now, thankfully, after taking care of business against that last game against CSU Fullerton did help them. They got back up to, I think it's 70 right now. So still, they're not quite on the bubble yet, but that win last night against number 25 USC, I think is going to go a long way to putting them back on the map. I think there's now kind of two routes for this Gaucho team to get to the tournament. I think one is they win out in the regular season. They have 3 games against LMU, 3 games against Cal State Bakersfield, like you mentioned. None of those teams are really on the map. They're both, I'd say, pretty average, around that 150, 160 RPI mark in college baseball. If you win out, then you end the season 37-16 in a very solid Big West. I think you have a chance to make it as an at-large. Maybe win 1 or 2 games in the Big West tournament, and I think you do have a chance to make an at-large bid. But it's going to take winning out. If you can't do that, and I think everything we've seen so far from this team says that they probably can't go 6-0. They really haven't been on a run like that since the first 2 weeks of the season. Then it's going to take winning it in Fullerton in the Big West Championship. They're going to have to win 4 games in a row or 5 games if they drop one because of that round robin tournament. They put themselves in a pretty bad position because they're going to have to play in a single game elimination match against most likely UC San Diego because they will be that 4 or 5 seed. They can't get up to 3 anymore. I think they're basically guaranteed to make it to the Big West playoffs just because UC San Diego and Hawaii, who's 4-6 right now, they play each other, and then Hawaii also has to play Fullerton. So you're feeling good about getting to the Big West playoffs, but now you're going to have to win it there. So I think it's really just this starting pitching that has to come together.
yeah.
It's faltered. Calvin Prosky, who has been the Gauchos' best starting pitcher this season, has had an awful stretch at the wrong time. His last 3 games, 3 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings, 5 earned runs in 5 innings, 6 earned runs in 1 1/3. That last one was against Fullerton. That's rocketed. That's ballooned his ERA, Angel, from 2.23 to 3.56, just three
Man.
starts, 3.59. So he goes up by almost a run and a half in three starts. That is not good. But the reverse of that is that Jackson Flora has been on a tear. He's been doing the exact opposite. He's been climbing up and up and up. So, and then Reed Mooring had an unbelievable outing against USC that we saw last night, 5 shutout innings. So if he can be a reliable fourth starter, then that's what you need in the Big West. That's the biggest, I think, wild card. If you now can throw out a Tyler Bremner in that single elimination game, and then you still have Flora, Prosky, Mooring, who you believe in and think are going to be the best starting pitchers in that game, the next 3 games, that's how you win the Big West tournament. That's what it's going to take. That's what this team is built on, that elite starting pitching. And they have some fun guys in the bullpen as well, and Donovan Jackson, Cole Tribe, et cetera. But I think it's going to come down to, can those 4 starting pitchers be what they can be at the top of their game and carry this Gaucho squad through a Big West championship.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it last episode. If not, maybe it was episode 9. If the Gauchos make it to the conference tournament, which I mean we're fairly confident that they are, who are they gonna decide to pitch in the elimination game, and then who are they gonna keep for the game after the single elimination game? I think after the USC game, which great performance by the Gauchos, taking down a number 25 opponent, that is really going to help them in RPI. USC was 23rd, I believe, in RPI ranking, so that's definitely going to boost them back up to hopefully in the 60s, like top 60s, be back in there to get a feel for the bubble again. But I mean, yeah, we were talking about how the Gauchos really only have 3 guys. Reed Mooring showed us that he can definitely be a weekend start, maybe a Sunday starter when Tyler Bremner leaves at the end of this year when he declares for the MLB First Year Players Draft. Reed Mooring just, like you said, 5 shutout innings, allowed 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he didn't give up a double, didn't give up a triple, no wild pitches, no balks. He got the win. I
Yeah, he
mean,
looks incredible.
he was great.
And he hadn't been built up. I think he would have gone a lot further. It's just the last time out, he only pitched 1 inning. He was like a one inning opener kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I think if he was more built up, he would have kept on going. And I think that bodes well for his next start, whatever it might be, because he is more built up now. He got to, I think it was about 70 pitches. But that 4th and 5th inning, collectively, I think they took 7 minutes of real time, and it was, 3 up, 3 down both times. Just 5 pitches in the 4th, like 7 pitches in the 5th. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I think another important thing is that he then, if he can be that 4 guy, that means Nathan Aceves can be your bulk guy now out of the pen instead of being that 4th starter, which also helps you a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, Maureen hasn't been built up. This is only his 5th appearance. First one coming way back February 18th against St. Mary's at home, which was the Gauchos' first home loss in like 2.5 years. Pitched 3 2/3 inning. Next game was about a week after that at Pepperdine, 5 2/3 innings, and then had a giant 2-month break. Played Cal Baptist on March or April 21st, only pitched 1 inning, and then like you mentioned, his last outing was on the 27th of April at UC San Diego, only 1 inning. So hasn't gotten a lot of time to play, but this game was definitely the best out of all the appearances he's ever made. Would really love to see him get used in the conference tournament. When that happens, I'd love to see him do good. He's, like I said, I think he can be a Sunday starter. I think throw out I think Jackson Flora is going to be your series opener. Prosky is going to be your Saturday guy, and then you have Mooring to close out the series. I think that is a great 3.
Yeah.
I think the Gauchos, the thing is with the Gauchos, you don't got to worry about pitching. I mean, and this goes back years. For those who don't know, former Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber was produced at UC Santa Barbara. So we know a thing or two about pitching. I think what's been struggling is the hitting. And I
Mm.
mentioned this on a call with Derek. For those who don't know, Derek is um, he helps out with KCSB Sports, the UC Santa Barbara radio station. Now, a voice for the WNBA expansion team, Golden State Valkyries. So shout out to him. But we mentioned how Jack Holman, the first baseman for the Gauchos, has not been performing as well as he did in the first half of the season. He was taken out of the lineup, I just for performance issues. He wasn't hurt. Was out for, I want to say, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and it just, I don't know. He just hasn't been back to what he was in the first like 7 or 8 games. In those in the first 7 or 8 games, he was on pace for 40 home runs. He was
Yeah.
hitting like a home run a game. But now he's sort of fallen off a little bit. Same with Corey Nunez fell off a bit. Kazuyusko hasn't been as consistent. I mean, it's just the Gauchos hitting has just been on a downtrend.
Yeah, I'll give a quick plug to the KCSB newsletter that I wrote this past week, which detailed I titled it "Breaking Down the Gauchos' Offensive Profile" because I don't like their offensive profile. I don't like it one bit. They have about a league average OPS, but that is because their slugging is above average. They have, I think, 40 something, about 50 home runs. Yeah, 47 home runs as a team, which is top half in the country. But they, as a team, have a 364 on base percentage, which is 234th out of the 300 qualified teams in baseball. That is bad. That is far below what it should be, and it's because they don't walk. They have 154 walks as a team this year, 279 out of 300 teams. I mean, that is really bad. That is a team, and that's a team-wide problem. So that worries me in terms of individuals. Just like you were saying, Angel, they just don't really have that two guy. Latrey McCullum's been awesome. I love weighted runs created plus as a stat, just kind of an overall offensive metric. 100 is league average. The Gauchos have one person above a 115 WRC plus. That's the Trey McCollum at 170. So McCollum's been awesome. Everybody else has been just about league average or worse. So that chunk of guys who are in that around league average mark, where that's like Holman and Esker and Mendez and Vargas, you need two of them to step up on a consistent basis and play, really, really well, because then you have three guys in the lineup that are formidable instead of just one. With one guy that opposing teams are scared of, it's a very easy lineup to navigate. So I think, I don't know, you need some of those other guys to step up if you really want to, make noise in the Big West tournament, in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and I mean we've been talking about a bit of the negatives of this Gaucho teams, but I just want to talk about the positives. With their 3-2 statement win over number 25 USC, UC Santa Barbara head coach Andrew Checketts gets his 486th career win, which is the most in program history. So shout out to you, coach. You're probably not listening, but it'd be cool if you are. Latrey McCullum, we were talking about him. Now 3 games shy of the program record for on base streak. With the USC game, he got a single, so that puts him at 43 games in a row that he's gotten on base. And the record is 45, set by Christian Kirtley back in 2022. The national record is 102 games in a row, set by Brian Ellis of Florida Gulf Coast University. Streak began on April 30th, 2021, ended April 12th, 2023. So Latrey McCollum is a senior, so he won't be getting up to the 102 unless he takes a grad year. But definitely has the chance to break the school record for on base streak. And I mean, like you said, Latrey McCollum is just he's honestly, I think he's the best hitter right now for the Gauchos. He is.
Oh
I
yeah,
said it on call. He's like the Russell Westbrook of college baseball because he can get you a single, he can get you a double, he can get you a triple, he can get a home run, RBI, he can steal. He's like a jack of all trades.
yeah. He's been incredible. I mean, just his slash line, 372, 472 on base percentage, and 552 slugging. It's incredible. So he's huge. Putting him at the top of the lineup, writing him into the leadoff spot every day is such a giant advantage for this Gaucho squad. And I do want to give credit to Nate Vargas, who has been on a bit of a heater. He just had his a 12-game hitting streak end last game against USC, but that 12-game hitting streak, hitting over 400, had 5 home runs in those 12 games. That's the kind of offense that the Gauchos need from a player not named Latrey McCullum. Someone of those others to step up, and then they could seriously make some noise. But yeah, between him and Latrey McCullum, just unreal. I didn't realize he was that close to breaking a program record. That's pretty awesome. Wow.
Yeah, just a few games away. He can break the record on Sunday when the Gauchos take on LMU. That's if he reaches on base Friday and Saturday against LMU. So Saturday would be the program tying, Sunday would be the program record. But to stick with praising the Gauchos, I did some diving into the national rankings. So I thought I'd just shout out the players who are on there. Now I got these yesterday, so they could have changed slightly. But as of yesterday, in terms of pitching, Tyler Bremner is tied for 18th in the nation in total strikeouts, 21st in the nation in strikeouts per 9 innings, tied for 86th in WHIP, 23rd in strikeout to walk ratio. Jackson Flora, 85th in the nation in ERA, 57th in hits per 9 innings, tied for 26th in WHIP, 22nd in strikeout to walk ratio. Position players, Latrey McCullum is tied for 94th in the nation in batting average, tied for 65th in hits, and Jonathan Mendez tied for 72nd in doubles.
I like that. I like those numbers for the Gauchos. I love the walk to strikeout ratios. Those really get me excited. From a pitching staff, that's how you win games. You don't walk people, you strike out a whole ton. To have 2 guys who are elite at that, that's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, for Tyler Bremner, his is 5.2, and for Jackson Flora, his is 5.21. So they're
I mean,
right. They're literally right there with each other.
That's crazy. I mean, and that's why Bremner, even though he hasn't had a very good, year results wise, in terms of that ERA, he's still. I just saw a mock draft today. He was projected to go 17th overall to the Cubs because it's got he's his strikeout rate 34% strikeout rate, elite, and then a 7% walk rate, elite. So that's why teams love him. He throws really hard and he doesn't walk anyone. And he strikes out a whole bunch.
Yeah, and I forgot that I have the rankings as a team as well. The Gauchos are 18th in hits per 9 innings at 7.66, 17th in walks per 9 innings, 3.38, 15th in ERA, 3.82, 14th in strikeouts per 9, 10.7, 10th in WHIP, 1.23, and we are 6th in the nation as a team in strikeouts to walk ratio at 3.17.
I love it. God, if this offense was just top 100 instead of top 150, this team could be so incredibly good. If they could just figure it out a little bit, because that pitching staff, top to bottom, is so incredible. They just need a little offense now and then to get it going. Oh, my gosh.
Man, but I think to end out this episode today, I think we should just talk about a little bit about the projections for the field of 64 in terms of not just the Gauchos, since we already did, but the Big West as a whole. UC Irvine is not projected to host a regional anymore. They actually fell below the cusp, and now Baseball America has them as the second seed in the Los Angeles regional, hosted by UCLA. They would be playing Arizona State and Yale. As for Cal Poly, I believe they are going to be in the Eugene Regional, hosted by Oregon. They would be the third seed, going up against second seed Arizona and fourth seeded Sacramento State. So that's how
Very
Baseball
interesting.
America has them. Obviously, On3 and D1Baseball.com has totally different projections, but they're still both UC Irvine and Cal Poly are the same seed in the same regional. It's just the teams, the 2 and 4 seeds are
Mhm.
different.
It's funny, UC San Diego, after taking 2 out of 3 from us and almost ruining our season, they took 2 out of 3 from UCI and bumped them from the one line. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what did it. So look at UC San Diego having a really nice stretch right now.
yeah, and I mean, speaking of San Diego, the University of San Diego for D1 baseball has them projected as the 4 seed in the LA regional, so they would
Oh,
be going up against
really?
UC Irvine in that regional. So
Very interesting. I didn't realize that USD was rated that highly. I mean,
I didn't
I
either.
know we
That
beat them.
surprised
I
me.
know we beat them once this year. Have we beaten them both times? We have, yeah. So we've.
Yeah,
I mean, that's good for us that they're viewed that highly because we've swept USD and we've swept in 2 games USC now. I mean, those are two in the field teams. That definitely helps the Gauchos, especially RPI wise.
yeah, and RPI is going to be crucial for these Gauchos because if they're not in that 65 or higher range, they're not going to be in the bubble. I think once you're
I
obviously
agree.
it's the field of 64, so you want to be in the high 60s in terms of RPI to get a bubble watch. Top 50 would really get you in there as a definitive first four in, maybe just a vote, auto vote. Um, but yeah, the last thing you want for the Gauchos is to solely rely on the conference tournament, especially when you have Cal Poly and UC Irvine and Cal State Fullerton in the way of all of that. But that is going to be it for today's episode of Beyond the Sideline, episode 11. Much shorter than the last, what, 3 episodes, 2 episodes,
I think so.
which have been well over an hour. Um, I mean, there's just not much to talk about in the sports world today. There was actually some buzz with Nolan Arenado before we came on today. He was a late scratch for the Cardinals today, and there was some rumors buzzing that a trade could be happening. The Yankees were being
I'd love him to
mentioned,
be a Yankee. I love that.
but it was just, it turns out he had back spasms.
Mhm. Fair.
So,
Speaking of trades, quickly, what did you think about Pickens being a Cowboy?
oh right, I totally forgot about that, and that just happened this morning. Okay, we're not ending. Sorry, scratch that. We're staying on for a few more minutes. Um, I totally forgot about that. What, he got traded? It
I
was
was a third.
Pickens in a second, or a third and
I
a
think I,
fifth, or
no, I don't
no,
think there was a second involved. I think it was just
a
Pickens for a
pick a
third and a
Pickens.
fifth, right?
I thought he was traded with a third as well. I could be wrong.
Hmm.
I know the Steelers received a third and a fifth. I
Right.
thought
Let's see.
Pickens came
Let's
with a
see.
pick as well. I could be wrong.
Nope. It was a third round. So Pickens for a third rounder and then a pick swap in 2027.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, fifth
That,
round pick swap kind of
that's what it was.
in
Okay.
27.
Yeah. I don't know because okay, so you have C.D. Lamb, you have George Pickens. Who else do the Cowboys have in terms of receiving?
Nobody. Tolbert is their next best
Oh,
guy. I mean, and then
great.
Jonathan Mingo. And then Jonathan Mingo. I mean, they needed to do like cowboy wise. Like it was shocking that they didn't take a wide receiver in the draft, but I'm guessing that they thought they had this in place and that's why they didn't. But I think they should have taken a wide receiver in the draft anyway. But the Cowboy, from a Cowboy perspective, I think you needed to get a wide receiver too.
Oh yeah. And now the Steelers don't have anyone but DK. They don't have
Yeah.
they don't have a running back. They don't have a quarterback unless you count Mason Rudolph. They're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers, but knowing
Yep.
him, he's probably going to retire. So, I mean,
What a
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
franchise.
The Steelers are in such a tough spot now.
hmm
Um,
I thought the DK trade was weird at first, just
I did
because
too.
him and Pickens are the exact same receiver, very same build. It's a go long and throw me the deep ball, and you can't really have two of those guys on the same team. So I feel like they kind of needed to get rid of one of them. So I good on them for getting some value for Pickens. I think talent wise, he deserved more than a third rounder, but just like who he is off the field and all the drama that he creates, I think it probably was bumped down, maybe a 2 or 3. But I think, yeah, those two guys, Metcalf and Pickens, I don't think belong like could survive on the same field together. So I think you needed to get rid of one of them. Um, and yeah, I think the Cowboys now at least have one other threat. I don't really trust running backs there. I don't really trust. I guess you have Ferguson as a tight end, but he's been up and down. So, but Cowboys are definitely a better team now than they were yesterday.
Yeah, they go from a 9-8 team to a 10-7 team.
Yeah, exactly.
They get slightly better, but I know all the Cowboys fans are ranting and raving, thinking they're gonna go to the Super Bowl.
No.
They're not.
Oh, Cowboys.
They're
Oh,
not.
Cowboys fans.
Um,
This is not their year like every other year.
yeah, every year is their year. Um, but yeah, dude, I totally forgot about that trade.
I'm happy I mentioned it.
I
I'm happy I
woke
brought it
up
up.
and I'm like, oh, George Pickens went to the Cowboys. Sick. That was it. I just brushed it off because I mean, it's George Pickens to the Cowboys. I mean, cool. He's a good wide
Yeah.
receiver, but it's just like, eh. Like
Yeah.
if it was like DK or I don't know, a guy like Mike Evans, like a top guy, or even a second tier wide receiver, I would have been like, oh shoot,
You don't
Cowboys are
think
pretty
George
decent.
Pickens is even a second tier wide
I think
receiver?
he's the very.
I think that's a hot take.
I think he's a top. I think he's like one of the top third tier, if not a bottom
Okay.
second tier.
Wow.
I think
Okay. I
he's
have him
there.
as a very solid wide receiver too.
I think he's a good wide receiver too. I just don't know if I'd put him with other top wide receiver twos.
Okay. I think that's okay. That's fair. That's
You
fair.
know, like
Good
I
enough.
mean, don't get me wrong, he is a great wide receiver. I just don't compare him to the other wide receiver twos in the league because there are a
Mhm.
lot of good second options. I mean,
Yeah.
what
No.
Debo was a second option last year. I
Yeah.
picked Debo as a second option over Pickens.
Definitely. No. Definitely agree there. Yeah.
But yeah, okay, I think that is now the end of the episode. Unless there was some sort of trade
That's all I got.
that happened now. You know what? Let's check just to make sure that there wasn't anything that happened.
While you check, I'll give a quick shout out to the NBA playoffs. First time ever that all four road teams have won in round two. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Just need to get
that's
that
awesome.
stat out there.
It's
Love
like
the upsets.
it's like March Madness.
Yeah, totally.
It does not look like there has been any trades.
All right, we're safe.
We
We're
are
safe.
safe. Nolan Arenado is still a Cardinal. um, yeah, so now officially that is going to be the end of episode 11 of Beyond the Sideline. Jake, thank you so much for coming back on yet again. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier in the show, you can listen to us on audio only on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want the video format, you can watch us on YouTube. All platforms get the show released on Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And that is going to be it for us from the Beyond the Sideline crew. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are in the world.